Hi everybody, how are you doing? So get ready with me as I go to absolutely nowhere. I just came out from the bathroom and I thought to myself, why not just come here and tell you a story or some stories that has been coming to my mind for some days now. You know, while I do my skin prep, nothing too serious. My skin has been going. Wait, why am I whispering? Okay, nothing too serious. My face has been going through it for a while now, so I'm going really busy, calm, breezy on my skin. And yes, I'm sweating a lot. There's been no light in days in my area. I mean, if you're in Nigeria, you would understand. Okay, because it's a season of love and I've been looking for a way to spice it up here on this channel. Um, I thought of things to tell you, stories to tell you about my experiences on love, and here we are. I remember some very crazy things I did for love. I hate to say it, but I believe everyone has been there once or a couple of times, and if you're coming up, I feel you'll get there. However, I'm sharing these stories with you for the following reasons. First, to let you know that I am human. And secondly, I'm sharing this story because I made the mistake so you don't have to make the mistake. Now, please also don't forget or don't misunderstand this. I am grown now. We're all grown. I know better now. And I'm human, okay? That I come on here to tell you things does not mean that I didn't have my time of being human, being young. And it's so funny how I feel like I grew up so fast. I don't know who else feels that way. But from time to time, I do feel that way. Anywho, the first thing, very crazy thing I did for love is the fact that I hated my sister. And sometimes, and of course, I loved her always. You know how siblings fight, but if you're really, raised in love and the fear of God, fights are just fights and they just end there. I love her most of the time. So some other times I hate her or hated her because it felt like every other guy likes her. It felt like every other guy liked her, and these are mostly guys that I introduced to her. I am more of the very social butterfly than she was, even till now. Yes. And so all the guys I met as a teenager, or we both met, I introduced to her, they seem to like her more. And so here's what happens. I try to introduce them because I was raised in a family that made us know that it's good to bring your friends home, people acquaintances, so every other person can know them, be accountable to someone. And so she was actually one of my siblings that I was accountable to growing up. And so these guys would just switch. Like, it feels like their attention would move from me. Any guy I meet and I really like or I'm crushing on, I'm like, okay, something will happen here because they seem to be kind to me, and I would mistake it to be, love. Actually, thinking about it now, knowing better now, I'm sure that that was no love, right? I was lost. No butterflies in my belly and all of that. These guys would be nice to me initially, and I'm like, okay, something will definitely come out of it, but they always seem to end up wanting my sister, liking my sister, and I didn't like it. It didn't make no sense to me because what is this? And I know I never said this to my sister. At some point, I think that affected my self-esteem in a way here for two reasons. One, I used to be really fat. Oh my god, gosh, what is this? Ooh, don't pop your pimples, guys. She was the slim one, portable. She was all put together. I used to be everywhere. Not I'm better now, and thank God for growth. And so I remember one very funny thing that happened one time. I had traveled home, maternal home to be precise. And so that day, my sister had finished what she was doing pretty early. I woke up late, and at the time they were going out, I was rushing so I would meet up with them. And there were these guys that had just come home. Well, just come home, they see us as township people. If you're Nigerian, you don't understand what I mean. When we travel home, they used to see us as township people. So I had finished what I was doing, but I couldn't meet up with my sister. She left me because, I mean, if you're not willing to wake up and do things right at the right time, you're not going to do her shine. That's one thing about her, and I learned from that. And so I was so pissed because I had begged my sister. I begged her, but she refused. She wasn't willing to wait for me. She just left me. Guess what I did? I'd already started observing that there were a few guys that I liked that I started talking to first. That were already piquing interest in her. I was so upset. But on that day, I did my makeup. I looked like a zombie. I'm not even, I'm not even kidding. It took me hours to finish that makeup that day. Not like it was really serious. I was pretty young. And by the time I walked out of the door, everyone that saw me busted into premium laughter. And so it happened to be that I had finished, like they left like in the morning, like say mid-morning, 11 a.m. By the time I was done with everything I was doing, not being really a fast person, by the time I was done with everything I was doing the makeup that took hours, it was 4, 5-ish, it was that bad. And just a little walk away from our compound, I saw my sister and the guys, some of my cousins who were females and all, they were all coming back. First, I didn't know how I felt that I couldn't meet up. And everybody, including my sister, busted into laughter. At first, I didn't know why they were laughing because I had looked at my face in the mirror and I looked good. The thing I did on my face, I felt so proud of myself. But guys, everyone else thought that I looked like a zombie. And going back on that day, I really knew I looked like a zombie. I'm not sure I can find that picture. Honestly, I wasn't really good in saving up picture memories at the time. But guys, my brows were bigger than my face. The powder, the everything. I literally looked like a zombie. This one, I want to say I'm sorry, mom. And every other person who knows me on a personal level, who would feel disappointed. However, I learned some lessons from this. Okay, so this is petroleum jelly. For now, that's pretty much what I put on my skin, and sometimes I put on a shea butter on my skin. You know, this one is almost finished. I do it because my skin is really sensitive at the moment, and honestly, anything I apply just aggravates what I feel. Okay, so I traveled over 800 kilometers as a teenager to a rural area where I have never been before. I didn't know of before that time. I traveled alone just to see a stranger. Now, I use the word a stranger not because I hadn't seen this guy before now. Quick backstory. That period was when I was contesting for, there was this music competition I had enrolled for, and it was during the grand finale. I was outside with my fellow contestants, we're talking, preparing on how we're going to sing a song that we're all asked to sing together, and someone just screams from behind me, "Hey, my wife." And this person was talking to, I didn't know the person was talking to me. You know when you hear a sound from behind, you're like, okay, let me look and see what's going on. I looked and it was one man who was roughly 20 years older than I was. God. And I'm like, okay, who is he calling my wife? Is that me? It happened to be me, my dear. That was me. And bros came close and was introducing me to someone he was standing with as his wife. He was like telling the guy, I've seen my wife, I've seen my wife. Somehow, everything he was saying entered my head. The guy didn't look fine, I'm not going to lie. The guy was not fine. He didn't look fine. But somehow, he looked like someone whose pockets were, full, and he knew what he was doing. And so he took my number. I gave him my number. Yes, I did. And he told me that he was going to call me after the competition. I think he stayed. I really can't remember. It's been a long time ago. This is far back as 2015. Yeah. So he took my number and he said he was going to call me back. Days after, he called me back. Or maybe later that evening. Yeah, later that evening. He called me back and then he's like, "Hi, please, can you come and visit me? I live in somewhere, so. please come and see me. I'd love for you to see me, see my people, see my house. Girl, this guy was on my matter. I agreed to go to his place, and then he sent me an address, sent me TP. To be really honest, I wasn't sexually active. Inside my heart, nothing related to going to see a man for sex sake that was there. I was really, really naive. So it was just from a very sincere place, okay? I'm like, okay, let me see this guy. Yeah, let me see this guy. Let me go see him. I didn't know he was that far, because when he was like, no, it's not far, it's not far. That was roughly 3 hours that I had to travel from my house. I've forgotten the lie I told my parents. Or maybe I didn't lie exactly, but to me, lying to me, aside telling me what is untrue, lying to me also means not telling me what is and the way it is and when I should know, you know. So I'll say I lied. Any other person could say I didn't lie. So I think there was something I was going for that period. So leaving the house, my family had thought I went for that, but I didn't go that day. I had traveled 3 hours to see a stranger who was roughly 20 years older than me as a teenager. I went to this guy's place. He lived in a big mansion. Now, to be really honest with you, this house was so big, and the place it was situated, the moment I got there, I was scared. In fact, throughout the journey, I was scared. I was praying to God. I was like, God, please let me not die on the road. If I die now, I might go to hell. You know, I know that my parents where I'm going to. I'm going to see him. You know, all these religious beliefs that we're brought up with and all of that, I don't know if you get it. If you're an African, you don't understand. A man shouldn't touch you. Oh, my parents actually did a great job. But all those religious beliefs that the society were really loud about, they were everywhere in my head. I'm like, if I die now on this trip, I'll go to hell. Is a man I'm going to see? How will I explain to God that I went to see a man? So my darlings, I arrived at this guy's house. I saw his cousins, his mom, who was sick at the time or something. No, she wasn't sick. She was really strong, yeah. But I think it was during her birthday or something. I went there. And somehow the first thing this guy did was to take me on a tour around his house. This was a large house. It was a duplex. I think 4 or 5 rooms at the time. 2015, guys. And so we took a tour around this guy's house. And there was this room he refused to show me. I'm not trying to scare you, but I think he saved that room to be the last place we go to. And so after we'd seen everywhere, seen his cars, he took me into that room. I was shaking. And I had wore, you know, I gauged up really well. I was wearing really tight stuff inside. So in my head, if the guy wanted to do rubbish, I was ready to, you know, run, tear race, because nothing ain't gonna happen. If there was one thing I was really scared of, like one thing that really helped the whole abstinence before marriage thing stick into my head, was the fact that I was scared of unwanted pregnancy. So I just believed that if I had done anything during those years of my life, I'll get pregnant, and I was scared. I didn't want that. So I had gauged up. I think I wore up to like 3-4 shots that day. And I was ready to run if anything had happened. Do you know that guy took me into the room? And before I knew it, bros wanted to start touching a girl. I'm like, hey. And I was really, really very outspoken when I was really young as a teenager. I could tell you anything to your face. I didn't mind. I'm like, hey, bro, hey. And then he goes, don't worry, I'm not doing anything. I know you're a church girl. I know. Don't worry. What did you even tell your parents you came here for? Me, I can't remember, but I'm like, nothing serious. In fact, my mom knows I came here. And I think that was one thing that saved me. The fact that I told him that my mom knew that I was there. My mom did not know. Lie. But I told him that. As I think after I told him that, it made him actually respect himself. He didn't do much. In fact, he didn't even want to do anything after then. I said, okay, now that you've seen my place, before he was able to convince me to come, I had told him that I'll just come, see your face. I think it was pressure that actually made me do that. He had been pressurizing me for a long time, and I told him if I come, I'll just see your place, and I go immediately. I'm not wasting time. I think I left, and this guy gave me money. He gave me 50,000 naira as a 2015. What did I use that money for? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. Thinking about this now is so crazy and funny, guy. Now, here's a quick lesson for any young person watching this. You don't have to go to a guy's house. And see, anything could have happened to me. That guy could have used me for rituals. That guy could have, to be really honest, where that guy was from was where I had heard from I did very crazy things. So from childhood, I had always heard that people from there actually eat human meat. Till now, that story still goes on, that they eat human meat. That was where I went to alone. I was scared, but I was doing it. That's crazy. Now, it could have been just anything. We hear stories of crimes and all going on. It could have been me. I'm not joking. So please, if you're watching me right now, do not do any crazy thing like this. If you must go to see any man, if you must go to anywhere, that is if it's even necessary. Because as a teenager, I do not think you need a man in your life. You don't. What are you using them for? What man would you need? Imagine, I wasn't looking at a guy or a boy who was my age. I was looking at someone who was 20 years older than me. Question is, what am I supposed to do with the guy? What was coming to my mind? What am I... Please do not do that. Don't do it. On no account should you do that. Now, onto what I was saying, right? He gave me 50,000 naira and he took me out. He drove me to the park, put me in public transport, and I went home. Then I had gotten home not so late, but good thing was that I didn't spend time at this place. Now, do you know another very funny thing was the fact that it didn't end there. I remember one time I had gone to Port Harcourt. I've forgotten what I went for because that was where he was based. Where I went to visit was his hometown because he had just newly built the apartment. And I went into Port Harcourt for something, and this guy heard that I came into Port Harcourt and he asked me to come to him. After that first experience, I had nightmares. I'm not even going to lie. And I think that was why I couldn't go to his home. I just told him, okay, we could see somewhere at an eatery or anything. So please, lessons. If you must see any guy, even as a grown-up, make sure to tell someone. If you must go see a stranger, make sure to tell someone, be accountable to someone. Make sure that your first date has to be somewhere public. What are you going to do at a man's house on a first date? Jesus Christ. Thinking about this, I'm so upset with myself. Oh my God. Okay, very sincere apologies, my people. I didn't mean to cut us like that. Someone had just turned on the chain. Like I said, there's been no light in days and we're managing. And so the noise was really much. I decided to close the windows so the noise wouldn't interfere. And while I rushed to finish up, another very crazy thing I did was to be led on by a man who was engaged for marriage to another woman. Thinking about this right now, I am so angry at myself. Now, this guy was the new choir director. He was just brought down to my local church branch, and you know, he looked good. Bro looked good. He was tall, wasn't exactly dark. I'm thinking about it again. I'm like, what was I doing with a fair guy? I thought I liked that guy. Okay, so bro was nice to me from start. In fact, the first day I had walked in to see him, the way he looked at me showed me that he really liked me. You know how a girl sees a very pretty woman and at first glance he's not able to take his eyes off the woman. That was what happened. And I'm like, okay. I heard about a new boy in the block who is a choir director. He's cute, you know, and I'm coming to see him for the first time, and somehow I captivate him like this. Oh my God, could that be something in here for me? At this point, I was a bit grown than then when I had traveled to an unknown faraway land to see a man. God, this is crazy. Okay. What is this prettiness? We got talking after rehearsals, we exchanged numbers, and the way he took my number that day, he said, okay, Kelly, I've heard a lot about you, so please give me your number so I can, you know, as I don't where I be now, sweet girl, you know. I'm like, okay, take my number. I know I'm a sweet girl. I know I'm a singist. I can sing, bro. So if you want to use that excuse to have my number, I don't have an issue with that. So that was how I gave him my number, and I think that evening he called. No, he chatted me up and we got talking. Honestly speaking, I didn't know that this guy was engaged to be married to someone else. I really liked him and I wanted something out of it. I figured out that he was shy. If you judge me, I'll come for you in your dream. I figured out that this brother was shy. And somehow, I'm like, okay, I didn't make the first move. Relax. So I'm like, okay, since you're shy, I'll make it easy for you. I made myself very available. I was everywhere. I was around. I think at the time I was working as a teacher. And so I was doing everything for this guy. I think then he had an issue with his ankle or knee. I can't really remember because he used to play football. I would go with the money that I don't have. Once they pay me, I would go buy him drugs, get him stuff. I'll be at work and then I'm chatting him up and then he tells me, I've not had anything to eat today. I'm hungry. I don't have money. The job doesn't really pay me well. I'll send bros money. After I'm done from work, sometimes I leave before work is over. I go and get him food, get him stuff. Sometimes I cook from home. Yeah. And I would take to this brother. And one day, it was on a Sunday service. A very pretty plus size young lady came to church and was introduced as his fiancée. Now, he didn't do this introduction. It was the pastor of the church at the time that did this introduction. What is this beauty? And to be really sincere with you, at this time with this guy, we had gone far. Nothing. Please, when I say far, I don't mean anything sexual or crazy, no. It was within the confines of the church. So it was basically just the butterflies in the belly, the fondness, always wanting to see each other, always wanting to walk around, hold hands, be close to each other, give moral support, and all of that. Nothing crazy and beyond that. Thank you. We had gone far. I had liked this guy. I had serious. I think that period was when I had back-to-back issues with low blood pressure. I was always, passing out. A lot of crazy things were happening. This guy had legit professed to love to me. Told me how he loves me, how he wants more with me, how he wants to settle down so time. I fell for it. At least the settling down wasn't at the time. It would take at least some more time. And me, I was all for let's have a nice relationship. Let's get to know ourselves really well and plan for marriage. I've always been an advocate of every relationship has to have marriage in view. Until that very fateful Sunday morning, Pastor had introduced this very pretty lady who I felt was prettier than I was. I was in shock. I didn't know how to feel. And then the next time during rehearsal after that Sunday service, she comes around, happens to be that she sings too. So apparently bros liked me because I sang. I knew how to sing according to him. In fact, I don't know who to blame at this point. So this brother, So the bros in question now introduces her to the whole choir as his fiancée. I didn't know how to feel. So since after the Sunday, I wasn't talking to him. I couldn't chat him up. I didn't know what to say to him. I was really young and naive, honestly. And now at that point I felt like, love is wicked. Love is wicked. So it's safe to say that I was going through a heartbreak at the time. After finding out that I felt like a trash. I felt like this guy literally has been using me all along, all my money, all my attention, my time, my effort. And I'm finding out that you have a fiance. Like, girl, you lady proposed to another girl and you came to this town and you're playing with me. So I think that was when he introduced the lady as his fiance. And the lady didn't have an idea. I bet she didn't have an idea what was going on. She didn't have any intentions of hurting me. I mean, that was her man before I ever met the guy. So who am I to be in their way? At this point, I'm done with getting ready to go absolutely nowhere just to tell you a story. So tell me, how do I look? Let's continue. At that time, there was a friction. He'll see me in church during rehearsals and he'll be really harsh and mean to me. Sometimes I would cry. I didn't understand, and I could not tell nobody about what was going on. Even my sister, I think my sister at the time wasn't really as close. The one my sister I really used to be close to at the time. She wasn't as close. So I couldn't tell anyone this. I was bearing this in my heart. At some point, I lost motivation. I wasn't really more interested in going to church, going for weekly activities, going for rehearsals, wanting to take the lead in doing choir administration, take worship and all. I was just trying. And this girl stayed for 2 weeks and left. I mean, his fiance, and left. And this guy came back. Bro, came back. I be bro. What is they call him? This guy came back, and then he starts with a text. And then he goes, "My lady, I'm really sorry. I know I should have." This guy writes a long epistle, and guess what? I believed him. And I went back. We started over. And so I started asking him, I'm like, and I thinking about this right now, I'm so irked. Like, oh. And I'm like, okay, so you have a fiance. What happens to me? What are we going to do? I was really young, gay. This is what I'm telling you. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? What are you going to do with me? And then this guy goes, "Honestly, it's you I really like. I like you so much. It's just I've been with her for a very long time and it's expected of me to get married to her." I'm like, okay, did your parents make this decision for you? Let it be like maybe you're with her against your own will. He said, no, not really. He liked her at the time, but now he likes someone else, someone better, more beautiful. This guy was legit telling me how I look. I know if this relationship was a sexual relationship, it would have been easier to wrap my head around, because I'm like, okay, there's something else. I would have said, okay, maybe it was if it was a sexual relationship, I would have said, okay, maybe it was the sex that was clouding our eyes and all of that. But and do you know that every other time I kept asking this guy, I am worried about the fact that there is another woman in the picture. I do not like the fact that I could end up being the reason a woman would lose her man, or a breakup will happen in a relationship of more like courtship, because they were engaged. Because like, don't worry, let's not talk about that. One time you even told me, let's just see how all of this goes. Don't worry. If I knew what was happening, less than 2 months, the girl moved down to the city. And that was it for me. Like, it felt like I had gone too deep, liking this guy, wanting more with this guy, that I couldn't stop. That even when the girl had come, I kept pushing, wanting more with this guy. I would see the two of them together and I would go there. It was crazy. I'm thinking about it now. I'm so disappointed. And I'm so upset. Now, lessons again. Please, don't be the reason why. Scripture says, "Oh God, I just get a let him up with us." If they are put away on Africa, be corrupt for your life. And don't be with a man who gaslights you, who is a narcissist, who is self-centered. Because literally, okay, I think this guy eventually ghosted me afterwards. Now he ghosted me, and that was it. I called this guy, he wouldn't pick up. One day he eventually sent me a text. This guy broke up with me via text. I was really broken, but I healed. Time, they say, heals things. Actually, time healed me. But it took a very long time, because after years I would see his picture, I'm like, this fool. Anyway, so lessons. Don't settle. I was literally settling. Don't settle for a guy who wouldn't take you as priority. If he's with a girl and wants to break up with her for reasons best known to him, be sure that those reasons are tangible, and be sure that if that happens to you by another guy, if another guy does the same thing to you and all, you won't feel hurt. And be sure that he really likes you. He's not just wanting to pass time with you, eat off of your money. If you're going to be in a relationship and you're the only one investing, you're the only one bringing in the money, you're the only one going out of your way, sacrificing, and the guy is not doing the same for you, you're the wrong for your life. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And as a teenager, honestly, I really don't know what you're going to be using your relationship for. Honestly speaking, because I was just a teenager. That relationship honestly would have ended in marriage. Would have just ended up wasting our time, and maybe in the long run you would have gotten sexual. Because growing up now, I feel like some men can actually legit be patient with a girl. I'm saying this for church girls, Christian girls who feel, oh, a guy loves you because he's with you. He's not churchy, he's not a Christian, he's not going to church, he doesn't love God, but he's with you, and then he tells you something like, don't worry, I would wait till you're ready. bro is legit waiting to finally win your heart to the point where you wouldn't mind. You would trust him so much and you wouldn't mind hurting God and you get sexual with him. That shit happens. Be careful. Be really careful. I think that's that for that. And I think the very last funny, crazy, but cherished memory I had, a very funny thing I did for love, was crying so much when I saw my younger sister. So I think I was 7 going to 8 when they gave birth to her. I was the baby of the house for that long. And so initially my siblings had started telling me things like, thank God you're no longer the baby of the house because you're stressing us out, you're doing this, you're da 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 da. And so when this child came home, that was it. She was so pretty. Like, have you seen a child that is so pretty and you can't express how you feel and you just started crying? That was exactly what I felt. I'll give you another example. Have you been in God's presence for so long that your words cannot express how you feel, the experience you're having, and then you burst into tears? That was it. This girl was so pretty, fair. You know how they say fair to look upon? I just started crying uncontrollably. And then my siblings felt that I was crying because I was no longer going to be the baby of the house. And because I was really young, I didn't know how to express what I was feeling, or maybe I had to say, I'm crying because she's so beautiful. I didn't know how to do it. Or say that. They misunderstood me, but I cried. And it didn't just end that day. Every other time I was with her alone, I would just be crying. It's very funny, but I love it. I cherish it so much. And shout out to you, my baby girl. She's all grown now, of course. I love you, love you, love you. I've always loved you from the very first day I set my eyes on you. And I still think that you're very pretty, amazing, and there is much more beautiful things that are tied to the glorious destiny that God has planned for you. Okay? We have come to the end of this story, because I don't know if I was able to put this story together to tell you, but I hope you're able to pick one or two things. And I hope you're able to learn one or two things about how to take care of your skin too. Don't mind me. That's pretty much it. These are the crazy things I did for love. If there are any questions you have for me in the comments, please go ahead and ask. I would answer. This is just a very vulnerable story time, and I hope you were able to learn one or two lessons. For young persons who are watching, for even old persons, adults, single persons, married people, parents, mothers, fathers, one or two you could pick for your children, for your teenagers, and all of that. Now, I just also want to put this in. I got a training that helped me. The kind of training that my parents gave me was one that, you know how they say things about background. Now, imagine this kind of person. I used to be a very curious, adventurous kind of person, and I guess that's why I did something as crazy as traveling that mile just to see a stranger. It's crazy, but I feel the thing that helped me was beyond my own will, was the training that I had gotten. For that, I had a spiritual God. I'm sure my parents must have prayed. My mom especially, her prayers held me. Because honestly speaking, anything could have happened. Could have been kidnapped. I could have been killed, used for rituals. I would have been raped. And I promise you, I wouldn't have been able to tell anybody anything. And I would have lived with that for the rest of my life. Crazy things happen. But thank God for foundation backgrounds. I made it clear from the start that, I'm going to travel that long to come and see you. Nothing was going to happen. And just the fact that I told this person, my mom knows that I came. I believe that thing saved me, because the guy was already trying to make advances. But the moment I told him, my mom knew, Oga relaxed. And I think years later, one time when we met ourselves somewhere. I don't grow now. I don't grow. I'm no longer that naive girl. So he made certain statements that made me say, thank God, I know no sense. Thank God I didn't sell myself short. Thank God I didn't open my legs. Thank God, all those things. So that's pretty much it. I hope you had a good time. I hope you were able to relax. I hope you had a good laugh. And I hope you don't judge me. I'll see you again in my next video. Bye. Peace.